welcome back, my friends, to another thrilling installment of our book, David Walliams' The Midnight Game. Now, remember, if you're enjoying this adventure and you'd like the adventure on your own to follow along or to read on your own, click up in that link and you'll be able to order your own copy or find another adventure as well. But let's get started with Chapter 20, The Oath. Finally, the lift door slid shut, and the four children all breathed sighs of relief. The lift began trundling upward toward the children's ward. As soon as they were sure they were out of earshot of the cleaning lady, all four burst into fits of laughter. "Well done, Tom," said Amber. "Cleaning inspectors? Genius! You got us out of that one. I would pat you on the back if I could." With their eyes, the girl indicated her broken arms, encased in plaster. "And I would pat you on the back if I was sure you were standing," said Robin, a smile breaking out beneath the bandages over his eyes. "All I have to do it then," said George, patting Tom 4 times. "That's a pat from each of one of us." "There's 3 of us," corrected Amber. "Sorry, maths was never my strong point," replied George. "So, does that mean I am now a proper member of the Midnight Gang?" asked Tom hopefully. "After tonight's adventures, surely the trial period is over." Silence returned to the trundling lift. "Please, give us a moment to confer," said Amber. The other 3 gathered in a corner of the lift and whispered to each other as Tom stood there feeling like a spare part. "After a meeting of the Midnight Gang," began Amber slowly, "the board of members have decided—" "It's a yes!" said George. Amber looked most displeased that the boy had stolen her thunder. "I wanted to make him wait," she protested. "Thank you," said Tom. He felt like dancing. At his boarding school, Tom had always felt like an outsider. He wasn't in the rugby gang, or the cool gang, or even the SWAT gang. Now he was a member of the most exciting gang in the world, the Midnight Gang. "I am so happy." "Membership fees are £1,000 a year, payable in cash to me," added Robin. Tom looked confused for a moment before Robin's wry smile signaled he was pulling his leg. "I've never paid it," said a worried George, dearly not getting the joke. "Well, you can give it to me first thing in the morning," replied Robin. "My God, £1,000!" protested George. "He's joking, you ignoramus," said Amber. "You do have to swear an oath, though." "A solemn oath," added Robin. "An oath that pledges allegiance to the Midnight Gang." "Repeat after me," said Amber. "I do solemnly swear—" "I do solemnly swear," began George. "Not you, George," said Amber. "You are already a member." "Oh, yes," replied George. "I do solemnly swear," repeated Tom, "that I will always put the needs of my brothers and sisters in the gang over my own," continued Amber. "That I will always put the needs of my brothers and sisters in the gang over my own, and keep the secrets of the Midnight Gang forever and a day." And keep the secrets of the Midnight Gang forever and a day. Ding! The door lifts opened at the 44th floor. "Congratulations," said Amber. "Tom, you are now officially a member of the Midnight Gang." Chapter 21, A Voice in Darkness. As soon as the lift door slid open onto the top floor of the hospital, the 4 fell silent, making their way back into the children's ward. They knew they had to be as quiet as possible. Matron would be waking up soon. That is, if she hadn't already. In the silence of the dead of night, every little noise sounded deafening. The clunk of the tall double doors that opened onto the children's ward, the squelch of Tom's bare feet on the shiny floor, and the squeak of Robin's leathery slippers every time he took a step. The crunch of a wheelchair's flat tire, Tom's heavy breathing at having to push Amber, George humming a jaunty tune to himself. "Shh!" hissed Amber. "We are meant to be quiet." "Sorry." It was dark in the children's ward. The only light was either spilling from the matron's office at the end of the ward or from the Big Ben's clock face glowing through the window. The midnight gang was relieved to see that matron was still asleep in her office, snoring away. Her head was slumped on her desk. A closer inspection from Tom revealed the lady's lips were still smeared with chocolate, plus a chocolatey puddle of drool that had seeped from her mouth onto her desk. Tom smiled to himself at how undignified she looked. Then he tiptoed back to his bed so as not to wake her up. "Come on, boys, help me first," ordered Amber. The girl instructed the three boys to lift her out of the wheelchair so they could place her in the bed. However, just as they had hoisted her up, a voice came out of the darkness. "Where have you been this time, then?" In shock, the boys dropped Amber on the floor. "Ow!" she bawled. Chapter 22, Snotted. "I asked, where have you been all this time?" It was Sally. The little girl with the pale skin and the bald head was still in her bed in the far corner of the children's ward. Once again, she had been left behind as the other kids had their adventures. "Nowhere," answered Amber curtly. She was still smarting after having been dropped onto the floor by the boys as she was being delivered back into her bed. "You can't have been nowhere," replied Sally. "You must have been somewhere." "Go back to sleep," hissed Amber. "No," replied Sally. "Tom promised he would tell me all about the night's adventures. Didn't you, Tom?" All the children turned towards Tom, who was sliding between the sheets of his bed. "Well," said Tom. Inside, the boy was squirming. He knew beyond any doubt that the other three would hate having their secrets of the Midnight Gang divulged to anyone outside their circle of trust. The boy hesitated. He felt torn. Tom had only just sworn an oath to the Midnight Gang, but his heart ached for Sally, who they'd left alone in the ward night after night. However, he felt as if he had no choice. "I didn't promise anything," he replied immediately. Tom felt a deep pang of shame to have lied. "You did!" Sally's voice was cracking. The little girl was becoming increasingly upset with all of them. "Tonight, just after midnight, I asked Tom to take me with him. He said no, but I made him promise to tell me all about it afterward." "Did you, Tom?" asked George. Tom hesitated for a moment before replying, "No." "You did!" protested Sally. "I didn't." Did. "Please be quiet," pleaded Amber. "No, I won't," replied Sally. For such a little girl, she had a big voice. "Not until you tell me what happened tonight. I've watched you creep off after midnight, night after night. You need to tell me what you're getting up to." "Please, Sally, I beg you, go back to sleep," said Amber. "If Matron finds out, we'll all be in big trouble." "No!" shouted Sally back. The noise must have woken up Matrone, as in an instant her snoring stopped. From the other side of the glass that divided the ward from Matron's office, the children watched as the lady rose unsteadily to her feet. Her hair was sticking up on end, and her makeup was smeared across her face. She looked like a clown who had been dragged through a hedge backward. With a wobble or two, Matron regained her composure and marched through the door into the ward. All the children kept as still as statues in their beds. They didn't dare even breathe, which rather gave the game away that something must be going on. "I know you nasty little beasts are up to no good," snarled Matron. "And perhaps you got away with it this time, but let me tell you, I've got my eyes on each and every one of you." The lady paced up and down their beds, bringing her face close to each of the children. The smell of her perfume was so strong that when she reached Tom, the boy could actually feel it tickling his nose. For a terrifying moment, he thought he would sneeze. Then the feeling passed, before it came back again with a vengeance. "Achoo!" The boy sneezed right in Matron's face. Tom was so frightened that he didn't dare open his eyes to see the globules of his snot, no doubt, hanging like icicles from the lady's face. Instead, he kept his eyes tightly shut and pretended that his sneeze hadn't woken him up. Matron was so disgusted by having been snotted on, so spectacularly that she retreated at speed into her office. Once inside, she put on a pair of transparent rubber gloves and removed the snot from her face with an antiseptic wipe after antiseptic wipe. It was some time before she was satisfied that every speck of snot was removed. Then, to console herself, Matron had another chocolate. Instantly, her eyes glazed over and she fell asleep again. Her head thudded on her table as the special snoozy pellet in the chocolates knocked her out. Well done, new boy, hissed Amber to Tom. This is all your fault. Why on earth did you have to promise Sally you would tell her everything? I didn't promise anything. Tom was too deep into his lie to back out now. Each time he lied, the boy felt a little part of him die inside. It doesn't matter now, replied George. All that matters is that no one says another word tonight. Matron is on to us. Got it? Yes, we've got it, dear, said Robin. Now you have to be quiet too. Stop being silly, Robin. Just stop talking and go to sleep. I would love to go to sleep as soon as you can stop telling me you will go to sleep and actually be quiet for one moment, I will. Well, the both of you stupid boys, shut up and go to sleep right now, whispered Amber. After that, none of them said another word. And we will find out what happens next tomorrow as we read chapter 22, Deep Fried Otter. Now, it's always a good idea to follow the words as I'm reading because it helps you see the words, know the words, and it helps you with your reading as well. Now, tomorrow, if you want to continue this adventure, tune in. But if you'd like to continue this adventure on your own, you can find that book up there in one of those links. And you can also find some other adventures as well. We'll see you next time.